My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, and that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. I don't know if you've ever seen that famous movie from the late 80s. It's a baseball movie starring Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones. It's titled Field of Dreams. And the story more or less goes like this. When a Iowa farmer named Ray, that's Kevin Costner, when he hears a mysterious voice one night in his cornfield saying, "If you build it, he will come," Ray feels the need to act. And so he sets about making a baseball diamond in his cornfield. And from there, I won't say much more. I don't want to spoil the plot for you, but he builds this baseball diamond in the middle of nowhere in his cornfield, and interesting things ensue, to say the least. If you build it, he will come. Though, honestly, the line from the movie is usually quoted or misquoted or remembered as, "If you build it, they will come." And the saying has stuck as an idea. If you build it, they will come. If you create something that everybody needs or wants, they will come to you rather than you having to go to them. Just build it and they will come. And obviously that takes a certain amount of faith to take that risk and build something, hoping that people will want to go to it or enjoy it. But just build it and they will come. In today's gospel, we're presented not with the cornfields of Iowa, but the grain fields of Galilee. In fact, the Gospels leave it open-ended as to what kind of grain it was, whether it was wheat or even perhaps corn. But the fact is that in those grain fields of Galilee, the disciples do something that is seemingly unlawful. They work, quote unquote, on the Sabbath by plucking grain. The Pharisees are upset about this because they seem to be working on the Sabbath, harvesting grain, although in reality, these disciples just picked enough to feed their hunger. But we know that the Pharisees were very meticulous and fixated on any deviation from the law. And so I'm going to read from the Gospel of Matthew, because it's a little more, the account is a little more full or more detailed than today's Gospel from Luke, but it's the same story. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, and they began to pluck heads of grain and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath." Jesus said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, and those who were with him? How he entered the house of God and ate the bread of the presence, which it was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests? Or have you not read how on the Sabbath the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are guiltless? I tell you, something greater than the temple is here." Lord, your words are very powerful. You refer to yourself as the temple, and you refer to your disciples, or you compare your disciples with those who were with David and who acted like priests in the temple, eating of the bread of the presence. What is that all about? We can go back to the Old Testament to that event that Jesus is referring to, which is in the first book of Samuel. So what happened? Well, once when David was on the run from King Saul, he came to the tabernacle of Moses, to what was the temple of that time. It was not yet in Jerusalem, and asked the priest there for food. And this is what happened. Then came David to Nob, to Ahimelech the priest. Now then, what have you at hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever is here. And the priest answered David, I have no common bread at hand, but there is the holy bread. If only your men have kept themselves pure. And David answered, saying, Yes, my men are pure. They've refrained from dealing with women. This was while they were preparing for battle. So they are purified. And so it says, the priest gave him, David, the holy bread. For there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord, to be replaced by hot bread on the day it is taken away. Now, this may all seem very strange to us, very foreign, but it's helpful to realize that for the Jews at the time of Jesus, they knew exactly what Jesus was talking about. For the Torah makes it pretty clear that the bread of the presence in the temple or the tabernacle could only be eaten by Aaron and his sons, that is, by the Levitical priests. But David and his soldiers were not from the tribe of Levi. They were from the tribe of Judah. So how could David and his men eat the priestly bread of the presence without breaking the law? So the fact that Jesus evokes, that you, Jesus, evoke this scene from the Old Testament is that you're trying to reveal something about yourself. You who are the son of David, you who are the heir to the throne of David and the promised Messiah, you're showing the Pharisees that something new is here. Something new is being built. It's very shocking that you would say something greater than the temple is here. In fact, in today's gospel, which is from Luke, the phrase is, the Son of Man is even Lord of the Sabbath. The Sabbath, the temple, these were like manifestations of God, of God's divinity. There's nothing greater than the temple, only God. There's nothing greater than the Sabbath, only God. And yet, you, Jesus, are presenting yourself as at the level of God. Something greater than the temple is here. We know through our faith, Jesus, that you are the temple of God. That you, by assuming a human nature, are like the dwelling or the presence of God on earth through your humanity. And we worship that humanity. We come to the true temple, which is your body. In Field of Dreams, the phrase is, if you build it, they will come. We know that in presenting yourself as the temple and presenting your apostles, the disciples, as the new priests who come and can rightfully work on the Sabbath, the holy work of worship, that can rightfully eat of the bread that was reserved only for the priests. All of this points to a new liturgy. And you had said that if they destroy the temple, you will rebuild it in 3 days. We know in hindsight that when you said that, you were referring to your body, which is destroyed on the cross and then rebuilt or resurrected in 3 days. And now your body reigns eternal in heaven. We worship you in the temple of your body, the body of Christ. And each of us acts as priests. Each of us has a priestly soul. Obviously, the ministerial priesthood is an explicit expression of that priesthood. But each of us, in our own way, offers a sacrifice, a pleasing sacrifice to the Lord through our work, through our prayer, through our family life. And so when we think about those disciples plucking corn or grain from the fields and eating it, we say they have every right to, because they are new priests in the new temple of God. And we too are new priests in the new temple of the Lord. It's good for us, Jesus, to recognize this and to celebrate our priesthood, our common priesthood, by identifying those elements of creation that we can offer to the Lord. For example, St. Josemaria used to say, an hour of study for a modern apostle is an hour of prayer. An hour of study for a priest of Christ, of this common priesthood, is an hour of prayer. How are we offering up our work each day? Do we unite it to the Mass, which is the greatest priestly expression of the people of God? Maybe that can be our resolution for today, that we bring to the Mass, the next Mass that we attend, all of the work of this day as an offering of thanksgiving. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help in putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.